Fingers me home, diddy hoo, gada do. Yeber spear, horn, gear, spear, bork, bork, bork.
Okay, today I'm going to be making tomato Florentine soup. I love soups this time of year, especially when the weather gets cold. They're really easy to make. You literally just have to throw a bunch of ingredients together. You don't have to do a whole lot of measuring or anything like that. As long as you have kind of a reference to go by, you can throw anything into a pot and it turns out good. Tomato Florentine soup, the Florentine makes it sound kind of fancy. It's really not a big deal. Basically it comes from, it's an Italian meaning that it's either served on a bed of spinach or served with spinach. So this right here, here's one of the ingredients. Here's your spinach, there's your fancy. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that I have right here that I'm going to throw in a pot here in a few minutes. Okay, here's the ingredients that we got right here. You don't have to throw in chicken. I like to put some in there just because it makes it a little more hearty, gives you a little more protein. Got some chicken broth, tomato sauce, garlic, salt, pepper, celery, onion, and of course a spinach. I also like to throw in some noodles in there. Like I said, it makes it a little more hearty soup, kind of fills you up a little bit more. But that's basically it. What I'm going to do here is throw some olive oil in my pan, which you can kind of see it in there right now. That's heating up, and as soon as that gets going, I'm going to throw in the garlic, celery, and the onion and saute that up until it gets nice and tender, and then start adding more ingredients. Okay, my onions and my garlic and celery have been cooking now for about 3 to 4 minutes. It's starting to get nice and tender, so I'm going to start putting some other ingredients in here. Let me just show you here real quick. I don't know if you can see it or not. That's kind of what it looks like. You can kind of get a good feel of as it gets tender just by poking around your ladle in there a little bit. But really, the only thing I got to do next now is I'm going to add my chicken broth. Now, normally I only use one of these because the recipe that I use for just my family makes quite a bit, and I even have leftovers. But I'm making this for a friend today, so I'm going to add some extra just to make sure that they got enough. Alright. So I'm adding 2 things of chicken broth today. These are 32 ounce boxes. Now my tomato sauce. A little bit of pepper. You don't need to add too much salt in this because the chicken broth, I get the 33% less sodium, but the chicken broth usually has a high amount of sodium in it as it is, so you don't really need to add a ton of salt. If you do, just make sure that you taste it before you add any extra, because you don't want to ruin it after you've done all this work. So I'm just going to give this a couple turns of pepper here. And just a pinch of salt. I get the frozen spinach. You can use fresh spinach if you want. In fact, I just made this the other day with fresh spinach. If you get the frozen kind, make sure it's thawed out and then squeeze all the water out of it before you dump it in there. I'll do that in just a second, but really that's pretty much the basis of your soup. Like I said, you can add diced tomatoes if you want, spice it up a little bit. I got my chicken right here all cut up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that in a pan, boil that up, and then once that's done, I'll just add it to that, and then it's going to simmer on the stove. Pretty easy. Okay, right now I got my chicken cooking on the stove. I know that doesn't look too appealing, but that's the chicken boiling there with a little bit of spinach floating on top. And then right now I got the soup over here. I'm about ready to bring this to a boil, which it's getting close. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Do you hear that? But once it comes to a boil, I will back it back down and let it simmer and then add the chicken. Alright, my chicken just got done. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up, dice it up real small. I don't particularly care for the bigger chunks of chicken in my soup. Once I'm done with this, the only other step that you need to do is add noodles, and that's optional. I usually use seashells, you can use rotini, you know, whatever noodle that you like. One tip I would give you though is I wouldn't cook this and put it in until about an hour before you're supposed to serve it. If you cook the noodles according to the package directions and then put them in your soup and you let it simmer all day, the noodles tend to get really mushy and it makes for not a very nice consistency in it. So I would wait a little while before you add these to your soup. So that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple. I just took all my ingredients. I really only had to cut up, you know, some chicken, the celery, onion. I didn't even do the garlic because I had some in a jar. And basically you just throw everything into a pot and let it cook. That's how easy it is. Yeah, there's actually one step I forgot here. A very important one too. I just got my chicken all cut up here. I'm going to add this all in. But one of the most important steps when you're cooking is to try it, to make sure you don't need to add any other seasonings. So this has been simmering on here for probably, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. So I'll give it a taste just to see how we're doing here.
How's it taste, mother?
1, 2, 3,